is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
When All-Star Patrick Corbin went down with an injury, it staggered the Diamondbacks rotation for sure. No one expected a knockout punch. Now, the D-back staff looks for a fresh start, and the organization turns to Josh Collmenter. Tonight, Collmenter will do something he hasn't done in more than a year: start a baseball game. Try and give the D-backs rotation just what it needs most: one fresh start.
A busy day in the transactions column. There's a new pitcher in town ready for his first big league start later this week. Another new face goes for AAA Reno tonight, while here at Chase Field, it's a familiar face in a slightly different role as the Diamondbacks meet the Mets. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume and Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks and Mets set for the first of 3 games here at Chase Field this week. And Bob, the distress signal went up from the Diamondbacks rotation, and Josh Collmenter has answered.
And hopefully he'll answer the way the Diamondbacks expect him to. One thing you have to remember about Josh Collmenter, last year was his first year with the D-backs as a full-time reliever. 35 of his first 59 appearances as a member of the Diamondbacks came as a member of the starting rotation. And the numbers you see as a starter compared to a reliever, obviously staggeringly better as a reliever, but he's a much different pitcher now at this stage of his career than he was when he first came to the Diamondbacks.
Josh Collmenter getting ready for his first start in more than a calendar year. Zach Wheeler is on the mound for the New York Mets. This is a ball club that has some familiar names, some former All-Stars like David Wright and Curtis Granderson. But the question Mets fans are asking is, where's the offense?
Wow, 207 as a team coming into play today. 6 players hitting under 200. You see the numbers and where they rank in the National League. If you're looking for the silver lining, they play pretty good defense. They've only made 5 errors all season long.
So it's the Diamondbacks and the Mets, the first of 3 tonight here at Chase Field. Zach Wheeler starts for New York and Josh Collmenter for the Diamondbacks. As we mentioned, a very busy day in the transaction column. Some roster moves to talk about. Trevor Cahill on his way out of the D-backs rotation, and a new face arrives. Details next.
Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants.
Oh, the Dodgers out of town, and in their place, the New York Mets. Josh Comenter getting his first start since September 30th of 2012. Today was a pretty big day for the D-backs in terms of a roster shakeup, all designed to snap them out of their early season funk. Will Harris was sent down to AAA Reno. 26-year-old right-hander Mike Bolsinger called up to the big leagues for the very first time. He'll get the start Saturday against the Dodgers. Trevor Cahill leaves the rotation and heads to the bullpen. Kurt Gibson with our Geico quote of the game.
We had a long conversation, Hark and I and KT and Trevor, and he's busting his tail, and he's frustrated with the results as well. So hopefully this will help get him back on track. But we all know he's capable.
And earlier, Kevin Towers telling us that Bolsinger is a guy who's a lot like Comenter, has a rubber arm, can throw a lot of pitches. So it should be interesting to see how he fares tonight. He is available in relief and Saturday in his start against the Dodgers. But it's Josh getting the ball tonight. The D-backs hoping to snap out of their slide. D-backs and Mets next on Fox Sports Arizona.
Is how Josh describes this latest move from the bullpen, where he pitched all of last season, back to the rotation. This is his first start since September of 2012 after a busy 2013 in the bullpen. No National League relief pitcher threw more innings last season than Josh Comenter, so extended outings, certainly nothing new, but the first inning is something he hasn't done in a while, and this is the lineup he'll face tonight. Bob, as we meet the Mets.
A few familiar names in this Mets lineup. Eric Young Jr. leading off, Daniel Murphy batting second, David Wright, the perennial all-star, in the 3 spot, Curtis Granderson cleaning up and playing right field, Lucas Duda in a spirited battle for that first base job with Ike Davis. Juan Lagares in center field tonight. Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate. Ruben Tejada at shortstop, and right-hander. Is he a right-hander? Yeah. Zach Wheeler on the mound.
Long, hard road for the Mets. A 9-game trip that opened in Atlanta. Now they come to Chase Field after a long weekend in Anaheim. Josh Comenter, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher. Kevin Towers said the D-backs are in survival mode right now. Starting pitchers an ERA at 7.18, the worst of the majors, and so this is part of survival mode, a basic application of resources.
Typical solid numbers for Josh Comenter out of the bullpen so far this season. I mentioned earlier that he had been a starter his first 2 years. 24 of his 31 appearances in 2011 came as a starter, and 11 of 28 during the 2012 season came as a starter. So certainly not totally unfamiliar territory for Josh.
You could not pick a more perfect night to be here at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. Roof and panels open, an absolutely gorgeous evening as Eric Young Jr. steps in and takes ball one.
And we talked about the Mets' offensive struggles in the early going this season, Eric Young included. You see the batting average and the on-base percentage. He has scored 7 runs. They have 6 players on their roster hitting under 200, 5 more hitting between 211 and 256.
I mean, David Wright's at 229, Granderson's at $159. They are struggling offensively. And we mentioned they got in here from Anaheim, where they lost 2 of 3 to the Angels. There's David Wright. Mets lost an 11-inning game on Friday, won a 13-inning game Saturday, and lost yesterday 14-2. Ooh. That's a long weekend. Whew. And this is the final stop on their 9-game road trip. So Diamondbacks may be catching these guys at a good time. Waiting for Curtis Granderson to get started, the former Yankee now across town. And Comenter goes full to the first batter he'll face as a starter this year. And you want to keep this guy off the bases. Daniel Murphy on deck.
Let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game. Starting pitcher Zack Wheeler for the Mets is ambushable. He throws a lot of strikes, a lot of first pitch strikes. And for Josh Comenter making his first start in a couple of years, should be a nice soft landing, an offensively challenged Mets ball club.
Another 3-2. Ball 4, leadoff walk. And Terry Collins has said about Eric Young Jr., when he gets on base, he scores runs. And so Comenter in immediate trouble here.
And he steals bases, a perfect 6 for 6 on the season. Got to keep an eye on him over there.
Second baseman Daniel Murphy. And the Mets played that 13-inning game in Anaheim over the weekend. They beat the Angels 7-6, but Murphy took an 0 for 7 with 3 punch-outs. Ouch big. That's out of play.
Well, despite all the Mets offensive struggles this year, they've had a lead at some point in 11 of their 12 games. They've actually scored 9 first-inning runs. That's tied for the 5th most in the major. So if you hold them down early, you probably beat them.
They have some bullpen issues. The bullpen ERA at just about 5. They come in here 5-7 on the season. Josh Comenter, one of the Diamondbacks' most dependable pitchers, and trying to get him some more meaningful innings. So here he is. His previous appearance, that 4-inning relief stint in San Francisco last Wednesday, when he got his first career save.
I mean, we knew there were some issues in the starting rotation before that 4-inning outing by Josh Comenter, but it turned out to be exactly what the Diamondbacks were hoping for, an extended outing where Josh could get his pitch count up there, build his endurance a little bit, just in case they needed to make this move and insert him into the rotation.
No balls and a strike to Daniel Murphy. Eric Young Jr. on first after the leadoff walk. Pitch out, nothing doing. We showed you a shot earlier of the right-hander Mike Bolsinger, former Arkansas Razorback. He has been called up from AAA Reno, where he's pitched well, 2-0, a 1.42 ERA. And he is available for relief tonight. He will take Trevor Cahill's start Saturday at Dodger Stadium as Cahill moves to the bullpen. The 1-1. Close, but Hunter Wendelstedt says ball 2. There goes Eric Young Jr. Murphy drives it down the line in right, but pulls it foul.
Something you'll probably say a lot with Josh Comenter on the mound. He throws so many of those straight changeups. Inevitably, the Mets hitters are going to be out in front of some of them and pull them hard foul.
And Josh has basically been a 2-pitch pitcher, fastball change. He has continued his quest to develop that curveball and get the 3rd pitch. So look for that tonight. Says he's been working on the curveball quite a bit. He's trying different grips and finding one that he's most happy with. And he's got a lot more confidence in that curveball. How important, Bob, is that 3rd pitch for him in this role?
Well, for him, I don't think as much as for some other pitchers because of his command. Now, hopefully he'll have his good command tonight, but when a guy throws a 4-seam fastball straight over the top like Josh, but you can throw it down and into a righty, you can throw it down and away to a righty, you can throw it up and away to a righty, mix in that straight changeup. I don't think it's as important because of Josh Comenter's command out there on the mound that he have that 3rd pitch. Certainly it would be a welcome addition, but I don't think it's as vitally important for him as for some other pitchers.
Murphy pops it up. PRADO wants it. On away. As we said at the top of the show, the distress signal went out from the rotation. And this is the way things wound up after the Patrick Corbin injury. Now Delgado goes to the bullpen. Cahill goes to the bullpen. And we'll see Comenter and now Bolsinger. We should also mention Randy Wolf is starting tonight for AAA Reno in Tucson.
Now, certainly the ERAs are alarming, but also the short outings. That's what really puts the pressure on the bullpen.
Face of the franchise, David Wright. There's strike 1. Wright at only .229 and a home run. But he comes into this series with a 5-game hitting streak. And he, like most good hitters, loves Chase Field. David Wright, 28 career games in this ballpark, 7 home runs. And his best homer per plate appearance rate of any visiting ballpark. Young takes off for second again. And Wright fouls it back. Boy, Eric Young Jr., this is something that he will bring to the table. The stolen base.
David Wright chasing that high fastball, belt high, up and out over the plate. Eric Young seems to have found a home here in New York. Has kind of bounced around a little bit in his career, has shown flashes of the player that organizations would like him to be, and at other times has struggled mightily, but seems to be very comfortable in that Mets orange and blue.
They also have Chris Young, the former Diamondback. He's rehabbing an injury right now with the Mets AAA team in Las Vegas. Yesterday, Young was 5 for 5, couple of home runs, 5 RBIs. He's been on the DL with that groin injury and is eligible to return on Friday. So they'll have a decision there, but in the meantime, they like what EY Jr.'s been doing on the bases for them. Terry Collins says Young's great kid, you root for him all the time. And he's shown he can win games for the Mets. A ball and 2 strikes. There goes Eric Young Jr. again. The throw from Montero is knocked down by Aaron Hill. And EY Jr. has his 7th stolen base.
Itching to steal that base the entire time he was over there. Gets a great jump at first. Nice play by Aaron Hill to save an error on Miguel Montero as that throw was in the dirt. He had to work his way around the sliding Eric Young and just does manage to get some leather on it and knock it down.
We just saw Eric Young Sr. at Coors Field, Colorado, coaching first base for the Rockies. So it's 2-2 on Wright with 1 out. Called strike 3. 2 down. First strikeout for Comenter. Location on that pitch was just about perfect.
Right fielder.
You might get some argument from David Wright on that, but that's what we were talking about just a moment ago with Josh Comenter, his ability to move that fastball in, out, up, down.
So here's another big bat Mets fans are waiting to get started. Curtis Granderson, the former Tiger and Yankee, takes strike one. A slow start to his Mets career after signing a 4-year, $60 million free agent deal this offseason. A $159 and 1 homer. Center fielder A.J. Pollock is shaded toward the gap in right center, so a big gap in left center for Curtis Granderson if he goes the other way. But this guy was one of the premier power hitters in the game not too long ago. Last year almost wiped out completely by injuries. Excuse me. Comenter pounces on that one, and they strand the leadoff walk. A goose egg in the first for Josh Comenter. D-backs coming up. Downtown Phoenix, the Diamondbacks and those New York Mets. First of a 3-game series. Zach Wheeler, the right-hander, on the mound for the Mets. This is the lineup for Kirk Gibson.
Gerardo Parra leading off, playing right field tonight, followed by Aaron Hill and Paul Goldschmidt. Miguel Montero slides up into the cleanup spot tonight, followed by Martin Prado and Mark Trumbo. It'll be Chris Owings, A.J. Pollock, and Josh Comenter at the bottom. Mark Trumbo, 6 home runs on the season, 18 runs driven in. Both lead the majors.
Arizona fourth starting pitcher, the right-hander Zach Wheeler. Third start of the season for the 23-year-old. 0-2, an ERA near 6. He's worked 11 innings, allowed 15 hits against 12 strikeouts.
He's had some issues with runners in scoring position this season, but we mentioned he's a strike thrower. You should get some good pitches to hit tonight. He features a fastball, a slider, curveball, and an occasional changeup.
Gerardo Parra leads it off. Parra up to 279 with a home run. Had a big day yesterday. 3 hits, including a double. He scored twice and got his first stolen base of the year. And he drives that to center field. Right to Juan Lagares, who can cover some ground out there. Well hit ball by Parra, but it's allowed out.
Hit it too good.
Lagares probably the best defender out there.
Yeah, he covers a lot of ground. We saw that at Citi Field in New York last year. He'll be in center, flanked by Eric Young Jr. in left, Curtis Granderson in right, David Wright and Ruben Tejada on the left side of the infield, Daniel Murphy and Lucas Duda on the right side, Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate for right-hander Zach Wheeler.
Aaron Hill. Strike one. Aaron off to a slow start, 233, 4 RBIs. Did have a ribby triple in yesterday's ball game. The walk rate was a big problem for Zach Wheeler as a rookie last year. He struggled with his control. Averaged more than 4 walks per 9 innings. And there's been a big effort made to cut down on that. Hill pops it up, shallow left. Ruben Tejada from shortstop. 2 down. This year, Wheeler, and Bob mentioned this at the top of the show, very aggressive in the strike zone, trying to correct the walk issue. And it's worked to an extent, only 2 bases on balls all year long. But, as Bob said, it's made him more hittable and ambushable, to use your word.
I was actually using your word, which I like very much. But yeah, you get a guy on the mound, granted he throws extremely hard, mid to upper 90s with that fastball. Occasionally his breaking stuff can be really crisp, but if he's always around the plate, you can be very aggressive as an opposing hitter.
He throws a lot of fastballs and is trying this year to throw a lot of fastballs for strikes, so the Diamondbacks, especially early in counts, should see some pitches to hit. 0-1 to Goldie. Oh, 0-2. Exactly like that. Throwing those pitches for strikes. Get ahead. Walks were a big problem for this guy. Used to be the #1 pitching prospect in the Giants organization. They got him a few years ago in that deal for Carlos Beltran. And there's a reason the Mets are so excited about their future. They have Matt Harvey, of course, who just had Tommy John. They have Zack Wheeler. Syndergaard, another guy they like a lot. Goldie, base hit. That one gets down. Granderson over to cut it off, and Paul Goldschmidt has a 2-out single. Goldie going the other way. What else is new?
Especially with 2 strikes, his approach is to just shorten everything up, try to be quick, see the ball as long as you can, and a lot of Goldie's 2-strike base hits have come to the opposite field.
In the cleanup spot tonight, Miguel Montero. Miggy back in the lineup, day off yesterday. And Goldie jumping back there on that one. Fries, always good here. Don't bug me, I'm eating. 1-0. Miguel Montero drives it to right. Granderson at the wall, and he drops the ball. Goldie running all the way, takes the turn and heads for home. Here's the throw, and he is safe. Looked like Granderson had it for a moment, and he may have hurt himself crashing into that wall.
Another ball that was just hit too hard. A topspin line drive, chasing Granderson all the way back to the fence out there in right field. Had it in his glove. Comes out when he crashes into the fence right here. You can see clearly in the glove. Hits that padded area right there. When he does, the ball rolls right out the webbing of the glove. And judging from his throw back to the infield, I'm not sure exactly what he injured, but he just kind of turned and sidearmed the ball back into the infield. Immediately took off the glove, looking at the left wrist, left forearm area as Goldie slides in ahead of the tag.
Well, that was a well-hit ball. Oof. Keep in mind, Granderson seemed to be last year jinxed by an injury bug. He was hit by a pitch in spring training, broke his right forearm, missed the first 6 weeks of the season for the Yankees. Finally got back, was only able to play 8 games, and then he was hit by a pitch, fractured a bone in his hand, and didn't get back until August.
Yeah, definitely the left forearm wrist area, that padded hole right there. He crashes right up against it. You can see his left wrist bend, his glove dropped down, the ball dropped out.
Now that third baseman, number 14.
So we'll keep an eye on Curtis Granderson, the Mets' $60 million investment. An RBI double for Miguel Montero. He's on second with 2 down for Martin Prado.
4 batters, 3 very crisply struck balls already in this game.
Ambushable.
Ambushable.
First pitch fastball for a strike. Prado at 263. struck out in a pinch hit appearance yesterday. He was not in the starting lineup. Originally got the day off from Kirk Gibson. And Martin is moving up the charts with the offense. He is swinging a hot bat lately. Two quick outs, a Goldschmidt single, a Montero double, and a run in. Center fielder Lagares is well over toward right, so a lot of room in left center. There's at the top of your screen Juan Lagares. So if PRADO can get it down in left center, he can do some running. 2 balls and a strike. Up to short, Tejada. Diamondbacks strand one, but they get one. Miguel Montero, RBI double. It's 1-0 after 1.
Looking to get the most bang for your buck this.
It's always nice to get early runs. D-backs spot Josh Comenter to a 1-0 lead. And the Mets trying to get a little scouting report over in that first base dugout. Lucas Duda asking Curtis Granderson about the fastballs that he saw from Josh Comenter. Looks like he's saying it's got a little cut to it,
It's coming from straight over the top,
yes,
I can tell you that. So let's see how Lucas Duda does with that information, the big left-hand hitter, and he yanks it foul on the first pitch. Wow, look out down there. Cindy, our Golden Glover. Oof, that was a shot right at her.
We mentioned all the hard foul balls against Josh Comenter. Ooh, that's a tough angle there, too. Fight it off.
Cindy Bonin-Contri down there along the right field line. Kirk Farley has left field. There's Kirk. Comenter quickly ahead 0-2. 226, 3 home runs for Lucas Duda. And Terry Collins, the Mets skipper, made his call on first base earlier this year. It's crowded over there. And Collins said, look, Lucas Duda is going to be the guy. He's probably going to start 3 out of every 4 games. Ike Davis, the former Sun Devils, in the mix. He'll play once in a while to stay sharp. He'll be the backup, though, and Lucas Duda is our first baseman. They have Josh Satin in the mix as well. So really, this is a team with 3 first basemen. And it's a constant question to Collins from the New York media. But he is standing by Duda, who takes that one, and it's full 3-2.
That's been a perennial problem for the Mets, at least over the last couple of seasons. If you go back to the beginning of the 2012 season, the combined batting average for all the Mets first basemen
Lucas DUDA hits it high down the line in right and out of play.
Combined batting average 232, slugging percentage of 413. They've only driven in 163 RBIs over that period and struck out 338 times.
They have Bobby Abreu in their minor league system, the former Philly great. He figures to be activated soon. A much better player off the bench, so Terry Collins has got to think, look, you know, Abreu has more value on the bench than, say, Ike Davis, so maybe we can get something for him. Up the middle, base hit. DUDA was down 0-2, worked it full, and he has himself a leadoff single.
Center fielder, number 12.
I have to believe there's a number of organizations out there that feel like Ike Davis is an everyday player and might be willing to make some kind of a swap if that was an area where a team needs help down there at first base.
It becomes a question of how good is this guy off the bench, and some guys, of course, better than others. Juan Lagares, the center fielder, looks at a strike. And this is the guy with the hottest bat in this lineup at .319. He has hit in 8 straight, coming off a pair of 2-hit games over the weekend in Anaheim. And he drives that to the gap in right center. One hops the wall. DUDA doesn't move real fast. They'll stop him at third. A single and a double for the Mets to open the second against Colmenter. And as mentioned, Lagares really swinging the bat well right now. A lot to like about this guy.
Number 15.
Like a changeup just fluttering out there near the outside corner. Nice bit of hitting there by Lagares to stay on it and drive it to the opposite field. Perfectly splits Parra and Pollock, and it has to be perfectly placed to get between those two guys.
Third double of the season for Juan Lagares. So the first two have reached against Colmenter. Here's the catcher, Travis d'Arnaud. d'Arnaud, a slow start to his year. He was 0 for his first 15. And the Mets beat writers all over Terry Collins about this young catcher's slow start. But Collins insisted another catcher hasn't even been discussed. This is the guy. And they consider him the future of the position for the New York Mets. He's been a hot prospect in the minors for a long time. They've always liked the defense. He was with the Phillies, with the Blue Jays. And now the Mets. The question is, will he hit?
He put up respectable numbers at the minor league level. Of course, a lot of guys have done that and never really made it at the major leagues. But the Mets are all in on this guy. They think he is going to be here for a long time.
2 balls and a strike. No other play for PRADO. One away.
I'll tell you what, partner, we're one full inning and a third into this ball game. I don't know if we've seen this many hard hit balls in 9 innings this year. Both teams squaring it up.
Well, there's really no breeze at all here. It's a very comfortable night. It's not super warm at all. It is very mild, very nice. So ideal conditions here. Just gorgeous. RUBEN TEJADA. TEJADA in there at $1.94. Yeah, you think back to the ball that, well, PARRA opened up the Diamondbacks first inning when he lined it right to Lagares in center field, and PRADO in just the right spot for D-backs fans took at least 1 RBI away from d'Arnaud right there. Bounce to short. Chris Owings will get the out. Mets tie it up.
Pitcher number 45, ZACK.
Lagares to third, 2 down. The pitcher, Zack Wheeler.
See, that's where I got confused with Zack Wheeler. He's a right-handed thrower, but he hits from the left side.
It happens.
Drives pitching coaches crazy. Why do you want to expose your money? Why do you want to put your throwing arm out there in the front? He does appear to have some kind of a small protective guard on that right elbow. It's like Randy Johnson batting right-handed, which really thrilled me.
That had to be fun.
Oh.
1-2. Yeah, the moneymaker's right out in front there. Two and two. So Josh Colementer over 40 pitches and not yet out of the second inning. Second strikeout for Josh. Mets strand one, but they get one. Bottom 2 on the way. It's a 1-1 ball game. When we come back, Mark Trumbo, CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Trumbo leads it off. Diamondbacks 1-1 bottom 2. We mentioned that Curtis Granderson seemed to injure himself crashing into the wall the last half inning. He was underneath in the tunnel getting some kind of treatment throughout that last half inning while the Mets were up. He's back out there. Is all wrapped up or something?
A little wrap on that left forearm, upper wrist area. Yeah, move that way. Mark Trumbo's coming up.
Or just back up. Leading the major leagues in home runs and RBIs. Trumbo, Owings, Pollock 6, 7, and 8 here in the Arizona second. Ambushable down the line and foul. First pitch fastballs.
Jumping on that first pitch. We've talked about Trumbo before. He's got the kind of power to miss-hit a ball and still get it out of the ballpark. Home run distance, but foul.
This was number 6 yesterday.
Yeah, not the case yesterday. A hanging breaking ball from Jamie Wright. Oof. Woo. Absolutely crushed.
When he hits them, they go. But it's allowed strike one. The Rangers and the Royals, teams with some pretty good offensive players, mind you, combined have as many homers as Mark Trumbo. That one bit Darno, so Hunter Wendelstein will give him a minute.
It'll take a minute or two.
Why would anyone do this?
Well, unfortunately, it does happen over the course of the season a few more times than you would like, but you try not to think about it, and it does go away somewhat quickly. It's that moment right after impact.
It usually is in any circumstance.
No, but you got to understand, it happens, and you tell yourself, oh, that's not so bad.
And
then this wave hits you, and it is that bad.
This is upstairs.
You have about half a second where you think, oh, I got lucky that time, but no.
Well, maybe Trumbo will hit one in the pool here.
Whiskey Rose Scottsdale.
A little plug for something. That one is on a hop to second base. Murphy.
Shortstop number 16.
Brings up Chris Owings.
Owings.
Chris at 295 on the year. And he was on base 4 times yesterday. A pair of hits, a walk. And this is a guy that likes fastballs early in counts. A speed pitch in there for a strike.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Off to a good start in a 1-1 ball game. Zach Wheeler can come out with some fairly impressive velocity numbers early in ball games, but that fastball can be flat. Sometimes doesn't move a whole lot, and that's been a concern for the Mets. It makes it even more important that he command that pitch and keep it on the edges. The Chris Owings fan club.
Yeah, win in the middle. I like it.
Runs to third, backs up right.
Ooh, that was a lot closer than it appeared. Routine ground ball backing up right just a little bit. Just kind of routinely flung that ball across the diamond sidearm, and Chris Owings very nearly beat it out.
He gets up the line, CO. Funny, his right started coming in on that for a half step, then backed up. So 2 down for A.J. Pollock. .94, first pitch fastball for a strike. 222 for AJ. Last year Wheeler depended on that fastball a lot. Threw it more than 70% of the time, so we'll see tonight if he mixes in that slider and change. Wheeler's previous start last Wednesday, that was in Atlanta. Went 5 innings, 4 runs, 8 hits. He struck out 6. Also went 6 in his season debut against the Nationals. Gave up 3 runs on 7 hits. Lifted in the air, backing up Granderson at right. And Wheeler works a 1-2-3 seconds. We are through 2 at Chase Field. It's a 1-1 ball game.
half of the third inning. Josh Collmenter making his first start of the 2014 season. Kirk Gibson said he's going to limit him to around 75 or 80 pitches tonight. You see the career opponent average as a starter. First time through the order, very good. Second time it creeps up there just over 300. Third time at 268, and on those rare occasions when he did get 4 times through the order, they lit him up pretty good.
Well, Josh says his preparation pretty much the exact same for starting a game as it is for long relief out of the bullpen. UI Jr. leads it off. I mean, this is a guy that prepares mentally to throw multiple innings anyway. And so Josh says the biggest difference now, he just knows the exact day that he'll pitch. But he admits he will miss the adrenaline rush when that bullpen phone rings.
Oh,
he has to
nothing quite like it.
Just jump up and go. It's something he really grew to like. He never complained about going to the bullpen, just wanted to help the ball club and all that. But he really did seem to grow comfortable and almost relish his unusual role out there. And we all know he succeeded brilliantly. Now Randall Delgado's out there. And Delgado did a good job yesterday through 37 pitches. Slow roller to short. Owings has to hurry. And he pulls Goldie up off the bag. That's the speed of Eric Young Jr. And he'll get second. Just a little dribbler to shortstop.
Yeah, right off the hands, just a little slow roller out to short. Timing of the play was disrupted a little bit, and in Owings' haste to get that ball across the diamond, just airmails it into that first base dugout.
So that's a single for Young to second on the error by Owings. And the Mets have the leadoff man in scoring position for Daniel Murphy. Drives it to center. A.J. Pollock at the track. It bounces off the wall. EY Jr. had to hold up. He'll stop at third. And Murphy's in there with a double. Another well-hit ball, Bob.
Both teams apparently seeing the ball extremely well, getting the barrel on it. Another ball driven just to the base of the fence at the 407 mark. If you hit a ball over A.J. Pollock's head, you've hit it pretty hard, because A.J. covers as good a ground going straight back as any center fielder you'll see. That one hit right at the base of the fence. EY had to hold up at second, and with nobody out in the inning, Tim Tuffle, the third base coach, decides to hold him up and see what the middle of the Mets order can do.
And Collmenter in an immediate jam to start the third. Second and third, nobody out for the heart of the order.
Boy, this is a surprising stat for me. Over the last 2 seasons, Paul Goldschmidt in the National League has 79 doubles. Tied with Daniel Murphy.
He's a good hitter, Murphy.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Also, Martin Prado on that list with 79 doubles, but Daniel Murphy,
there it is.
Stealth hitter.
And they've liked his bat for years. They've tried to find a spot for him defensively, and he's settled in at second base. But Murphy's RBI totals have gone up, in fact, substantially each of the last 3 seasons. So David Wright, who struck out looking his first time, is up there. Second and third, nobody out. Bounce to third. Prado looks Murphy back, gets the out at first. Young scores, and the Mets take a 2-1 lead. A thought about coming home at all?
Yeah, I thought maybe Prado would think about it. I mean, normally when you play your infield back to try to avoid the big inning, you take the out at first base. That's why you're playing back. You're willing to concede that 1 run to avoid multiple runs. But possibility. Would have been close. The throw may have been in line with the runner. So instead, Martin goes across the diamond after checking on the runner at second, just to make sure they get an out on the play.
So the Mets get their second run, both on RBI groundouts. And Curtis Granderson looks at ball 1. Granderson tapped back to the mound his first time. Collmenter now at 50 pitches, 30 for strikes. Granderson has hits in his last 3 games, but they are his only hits. in his last 25 at bats. It's been a tough start. Mentioned last year for the Yankees, almost wiped out completely by injuries, only played 61 games. But in the 2 previous seasons in New York, 84 home runs and 225 RBIs. And the Yankees just simply could not replace that type of production, as Granderson really did put up some monster numbers in the pinstripes. 41 homers in 2011, 43 in 2012. A ball and 2 strikes. That's out of play. Fans, FoxSportsArizona.com, all the online local sports coverage you won't get anywhere else. Jack Magruder on Josh Colmenter's return to the rotation. Randy Hill on the Suns' do or die against Memphis. And Craig Morton on what looks like an uncertain offseason for the Coyotes. All that and more right now, FoxSportsArizona.com. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, you'll remember Granderson after the 09 season, part of that huge trade with the Diamondbacks and the Tigers. D-backs sent Max Scherzer, Daniel Schlereth to Detroit. Diamondbacks got Edwin Jackson from the Tigers, got Ian Kennedy from the Yankees, and Granderson ended up in New York. And then this winter signed a free agent deal, moved across town to the Mets. And he strikes out. 3 strikeouts for Colmenter. Big one there.
Well, now he'll have another pitch to tell Lucas Duda about back in the dugout. He was talking last time about the cut fastball. There you see the changeup grip by Josh Colmenter. Gets Granderson way out in front, chasing a pitch out of the zone.
Well, Josh, to start the second, had second and third, nobody out. Gave up 1 run on the ground out. Same thing to start this inning. He's given up a run on the ground out. And trying to end the damage right here, Lucas Duda. Duda singled and scored his first time. Duda from Riverside, California, played collegiately at USC. He's a Trojan. In the right, a base hit. They wave Murphy. Here's Gerardo, PARRA, and the throw is not in time. Murphy gets around the tag by Montero, and Duda's in at second. It's 3-1. And once again, Bob, with these new rules, the question for the catcher is, where can I stand?
So unfortunately, up the third baseline just far enough to allow Duda the room to get around, and looked like he got his left hand on the plate. Hunter Wendelstedt right on top of it, called it immediately. Miggy clearly couldn't get the tag down, and Duda appeared to get the left hand on the plate. Good call. You have to give the runner a lane to slide toward home plate. That's a little vague, but there has to be an area of the plate available to the runner. And as I said, that time the throw was far enough up the line that Miguel Montero had no choice but to try to go get the ball and apply the sweep tag.
And if the catcher does not have possession of the baseball, he cannot block the plate. So it's a 3-1 ball game. Duda at second base with a single and an RBI. Juan Lagares. He doubled his first time. So he's now hit in 9 straight, Lagares, as he steps in here. 5 hits for the Mets. A run in the second, 2 here in the third. Down the line in right, the foul.
We showed you this graphic just a little bit earlier in the ball game for Josh Collmenter. First time through the batting order. Numbers were very good. Second time, which he is in the midst of right now, crept up there over 300. 5 hitters in the inning, 3 well struck base hits.
Right field, PARRA. That ends the inning, but the Mets get 2 more. Home half of the third on the way. Diamondbacks down 3-1. Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Well, a long discussion between innings there with Kurt Gibson and Hunter Wendelstedt, the plate umpire.
I think the managers and the umpires as well are still kind of sketchy on the rules of the collision plays at home plate, what a catcher is allowed to do, what he's not allowed to do, what the runner is allowed to do. I think Kurt Gibson just wanted to get some clarification there from Hunter Wendelstedt. A very civil meeting between the two.
And a discussion with Miguel Montero in the dugout. Josh Collmenter leads off the D-backs third. Collmenter, PARRA, Hill, 9-1-2 against Zack Wheeler. Yeah, that's the rule. Everyone loves the replay rule. There might be things they don't love about it, per se, especially John Farrell after last night. Ejected following the review, which is a new twist in the Red Sox-Yankee game. But the catcher blocking the plate interference rule is something that nobody really seems to like. They like the idea, but there's a lot less to like about it than expanded replay, it seems.
I mean, it's always been in the rule book that the catcher was not allowed to block home plate without the baseball. But
that's always been a rule.
Yeah, but it's never been enforced.
Gotcha.
You know, the catcher seemingly has always been allowed to camp out there in front of home plate, whether he had the ball or not.
Because if you do that as an infielder in front of a base, it's obstruction.
I mean, Mike Scioscia made a living blocking home plate, as good as any catcher in the history of this game, and the majority of the time the ball wasn't even close to him. He was such a big, strong guy. He would just plant himself in front of the plate, take the hit from the base runner, and then catch the ball.
That's hard to do. PARRA flied out his first time up on a ball that he absolutely scorched to center field, but hit it right at Juan Lagares out there.
The idea, of course, was no more collisions. They didn't want the old Pete Rose, Ray Fosse scenario. But the question has become, are you creating a bigger injury risk for the base runner than you used to see for the catcher? Because the base runner then will have to figure out what he can and can't do as he's flying around third. And if he suddenly stops short or has to change his direction, he could injure himself. And haven't come up with exactly the answer that everybody likes yet. The 2-0.
I mean, just look at this play at the plate. Look at the position the runner is in there. Way wide. He's going to have to stop his momentum somehow. Get that left hand back on the plate while trying to avoid the tag. Very easy for a runner to blow out a knee or an ankle. Break a hand trying to get it down there on the plate. So in an effort to protect the catcher, we're endangering base runners.
That was a heck of a job by Murphy, though, on that slide. 3-1 to PARRA. 1-out walk. Mentioned Pete Rose and the Ray Fosse collision, which of course is almost, I think, the signature play of the home plate collision.
Yeah.
Born on this day.
Yeah, 1941. Peter Edward Rose, born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Greg Maddux. Ooh, that's a pretty good list right there. And those are just baseball-related people.
And by the way, the idea that Marvin Miller is not in the Hall of Fame is a joke.
Oh, it is a joke.
It's an absolute joke. And the commentary portion of tonight's broadcast.
Yeah. Also, Eric Faulkner, one of our tape operators, celebrating a birthday today.
Base hit for Aaron Hill. And the D-backs have a pair of one-out base runners, with Goldie coming up.
And for you rockers out there, Richie Blackmore, guitar player for Deep Purple, celebrating a birthday today. Top spin grounder gets through that left side quickly. Diamondbacks have it cooking here in the third.
Welcome from Germany. They came all the way from Germany for the D-backs. You were there last year.
Yeah. Spent some time at Grafenwehr base over in Germany. A lot of baseball fans over there.
The Germans. Goldie singled and scored his first time.
Well, I'll tell you, I've talked repeatedly in the early going about the large amount of loud contact already in this ball game, but Wheeler hasn't shown any ability to throw anything other than a fastball for a strike yet. He's thrown some good breaking balls, but they all end up out of the zone away or down in the dirt. And the Diamondbacks hitters, very disciplined, have been able to lay off those breaking pitches and force him back into fastball counts.
You're going to get one. It's going to be in the strike zone. And there's a chance it might be just a flat hanging fastball that you can do something with. Down and away here. Goldie lays off 2-1. He's consistently 94-95, Wheeler. And he comes with an excellent pedigree. Don't forget, this kid was the 6th overall selection in the '09 draft out of high school in Dallas, Georgia. He was drafted ahead of Mike Minor in Atlanta, ahead of Mike Leake in Cincinnati, ahead of Shelby Miller in St. Louis. And the Mets got him 3 years ago in the Beltran deal. PARRA the runner at second, Hill at first. 3 balls and a strike to Goldie.
With the heater just off that inside corner. Travis d'Arnaud stepping out in front of home plate, going through a series of signs to let his infielders know where he is going to throw the ball should the Diamondbacks attempt a double steal right here. You would assume with Goldie at the plate, even though he's not a dead pull hitter, you would assume that the Mets might try to throw through to second base. You want the left side of your infield to stay home, since that's where Paul is most likely to hit the ball. Yeah, that's not a safe bet, though. We've seen Goldie, and we know that he hits the ball from foul line to foul line.
And with power.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a dead pull hitter at the plate, I would consider Mark Trumbo to be more of a dead pull hitter. Then definitely you want your third baseman to hold his position. You want your shortstop to hold his position. On an attempted double steal, the throw should probably go through to second base and try to get Aaron Hill.
Another 3-2. That might be the easiest one that Glenn Sherlock fields all season off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt.
Oh, he's talked about this particular situation with the runner at second base because he needs to get down the line a little bit to bring GERARDO PARRA around the bag on a base hit, which puts him much closer to home plate with a right-handed hitter at the plate. That's not a desirable position for a third base coach.
Ball 4, bases loaded. Second walk in the inning issued by Wheeler. He got himself in trouble last year with bases on balls.
Now the catcher, Miguel Montero.
So they're loaded for Miggy. Parra is the runner at third. Hill at second, Goldie at first. Miguel Montero, an RBI double his first time. He scorched one to the wall in right that Granderson had in his glove but dropped when he collided with the wall. And Goldschmidt was able to score from first. Lifts it to left. Young. Parra at third. Here he comes. It's cut off by Wright, and they get Hill at third. But the run scores before the out. Right to cut that throw off there.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. I'll tell you, Eric Young Jr. showcasing a little more arm than I thought he had. Unleashes that throw toward the plate. I'm not so sure if he lets that ball go. The Mets might get that out at home plate rather than third, but obviously David Wright has his back turned to the runner trying to score from third. He can clearly see Aaron Hill trying to advance second to third in front of him. And the Mets do get the final out at third base, but not before the Diamondbacks put their second run on the board.
A 3-2 ball game. Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, leads off the fourth. First pitch swinging, fouled behind the Met dugout. 0-1. Aaron Hill just assuming that ball's not going to get cut off there.
Well, I think as a runner in that situation, obviously he's trying to advance to third base, but what he did right there was keep the throw away from home plate to make sure that run did score. Kind of a distraction. Look over here. Look over here.
Squirrel. PARRA near the line. Jackie Robinson Day coming up tomorrow all across Major League Baseball. Negro League exhibit going on right now at Chase Field. In the upper deck, George Altman, the former Met. Everyone tomorrow puts on 42. Ruben Tejada, the shortstop, an RBI ground out his first time.
An absolutely wonderful celebration of the impact that Jackie Robinson had not only on the game of baseball but on our entire culture, but it's a nightmare for broadcasters.
It can be a little difficult.
Everybody wearing number 42 tomorrow.
One and one. It was a good movie.
And now that Mariano Rivera is retired, nobody wears 42 anymore, correct? He was the last guy that was grandfathered in to wear the number 42.
I remember Mo Vaughn wore it for a long time, but the great Mariano was the last one. You can go up there and see some of the baseball cards in Ken Kendrick's private collection up there. That's worth a trip.
Nice.
You can, maybe you can convince him to sell you a few. 70 pitches now for Coleman, 46 for strikes. And again, 90 is supposed to be the cap here. Getting close. Right center. Plenty of room for A.J. Pollock. 2 down. Hey, fans, don't forget, now it's your chance to tweet us your photos and use the hashtag AZFanPhoto. That's a new hashtag, AZFanPhoto. Your chance to have it shown by our broadcast crew later in the ball game, brought to you by AT&T. So just tweet it out anywhere into space. Don't have to send it to anyone specifically. Just use that hashtag, AZFanPhoto. The governor next to us in the radio booth, and Bob Brenly here on the TV side. I'll scroll through the pictures as always and select the one they like the best.
Not an easy task.
Right to Aaron Hill. And a nice 1, 2, 3, 4th for Josh Coleman. Martin PRADO will lead it off when the Diamondbacks come back. They're down 3-2. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. PRADO, Trumbo, Owings in the Arizona 4th. Cheer on your D-backs with the D-backs 4-game mini plan. You can pick any 4 games this year, any 4 you want, and get discounted pricing. So you can choose the best matchup, choose the biggest event, or the hottest giveaway, like Patrick Corbin bobblehead. That's coming up Saturday, April 26th. Or GERARDO PARRA bobblehead. That's Saturday, May 17th. For more info, visit dbacks.com/4pack. So if you pick one of those games, you get even more value because you get the bobblehead. So log on and now, dbacks.com/4pack, and check it out.
Yeah, a lot of different teams to choose from this year. The Diamondbacks playing the American League Central and Interleague play. You come see the Tigers, the Indians, the Royals.
Ooh, wonder if we'll get Yordano Ventura, their great pitcher in Kansas City. Ooh.
Well, they were everybody's darling in spring training. I think a lot of people are surprised the start they're off to, but that's a good-looking young ball club.
Martin Prado takes a strike. Sanderson Ford bullpen just up from Reno. Mike Bolsinger. He will start Saturday in Los Angeles as Trevor Cahill goes to the bullpen. And Bolsinger will take his rotation spot. Randy Wolf is also starting tonight for Reno in Tucson. And so we've had a lot going on with the pitching staff lately.
Well, I like the idea that Kirk Gibson is at least considering getting Bolsinger into this ball game. You'd hate to think the young man stepping on the mound at Dodger Stadium for his first taste. That could be a little intimidating.
Yes, he went, says Gabe Morales at first, so Prado strikes out.
You know, just let him get his feet wet here at his home ballpark, his own clubhouse with his new teammates.
Yeah, that's a great call. Let him get out there and just get the first one over with, because he's not starting until Saturday anyway, so we'll have time certainly to recover. And as we mentioned earlier, Randall Delgado worked yesterday and did throw 37 pitches, so in terms of a long man, it's probably Bolsinger tonight. Mark Trumbo. And again, Wheeler jumps ahead with a first pitch fastball.
Well, Mark Trumbo, with his 34 bombs last year for the Angels, didn't hit his 6th home run of the season until the 27th game. Way ahead of last year's pace.
He did it in 15 games this year. And Trumbo's gone from Anaheim, where it's cooler at night, to Chase Field, where it's the warmest in the big leagues. And with the Angels, Mark said, because of that cool air, just couldn't go to right field. Just too hard. He would say he would almost unconsciously pull the ball all the time, knowing that he'd, in his words, have to actually nuke the ball to get it out to right there. And that led to some bad habits, some bad swings. And now he's not swinging as hard trying to hit it the ball to right center or dead center field. And as a result, he is hitting the ball to all fields more. And so he's a better hitter. Nice catch by the fan. Just be careful. Dude, I'm on the phone.
Hey, honey, guess what? I just caught a foul ball.
Not bad. 2-2. Right to Tejada at short.
Hey, fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Two outs. Chris Owings grounded out his first time. Diamondbacks have been out hit by the Mets 5-3. They trail at 3-2. Base hit. Bob, it's interesting with CO. He went through that kind of little mini slump, but he was on base 4 times yesterday. Nice clean single there.
Good reaction, too. We've been talking about Zack Wheeler and his inability to command that breaking ball. That was a slider up over the inside part of the plate. Chris Owings is all over it. Recognize mistakes, put a good swing on it, take your chances.
A.J. Pollock flied out his first time. A.J. had a 2-hit game yesterday, including his 4th double. All right, we're going to have Wade Miley come out on deck. Pitcher spot is due up next, so that might be it for Colementor. Bolsinger has been throwing. And after all, he's hitting .556 on the year. I'm surprised not batting cleanup.
And with the short bench, because the Diamondbacks are carrying an extra pitcher, it does limit Kirk Gibson's options, especially trailing early in a ball game. You don't want to exhaust your bench. And Wade Miley has shown through the early going this season that he can do some damage with that wood.
The 0-1. This is, of course, presuming that A.J. Pollock reaches here. In that case, you'd have 2 on, 2 out in a 1-run game. Too early to go to the bench. Use one of your 4 position players.
I don't know. I mean,
because you're limited down there. That's the only reason I asked. With 13 pitchers,
you have to know when the right time to take your shot is. Probably with Eric Chavez, should that be the circumstance. 2 guys on, down by a run early.
You want to burn Chavez in the 4th, a little early. So we'll see what happens here.
They're going to try to let Chris Owens steal this bag right here. If he happens to get thrown out to end the inning, you'd have A.J. Pollock leading off in the next inning and then could make another decision what to do with that pitcher spot.
Owens bluffs and Pollock takes the ball 1-2.
73 pitches in the game for Josh.
90 was supposed to be the limit. Just worked a 1, 2, 3, 4. And we know Miley had a 3-hit day the other night in Colorado. So he can swing it a little bit. You know he's loving this too, Miley. This is.
Oh, yeah.
They got him again. Chris Owings picked off the other day, and it happens again here. And that ends the 4th. So a 2-out single goes for naught. Chris Owings got caught leaning the wrong way, and that's the inning. 5th inning coming up. Diamondbacks trail at 3-2.
The 5th inning, Josh Colementor making his first start out of necessity in the 2014 season. And mixed results. There were some very hard hit balls against him, but he also made some big pitches when he needed to. A little too early to put a grade on the Josh Colementor start today, but very effective at times. Loud contact at other times.
Major league debut for the 26-year-old right-hander, 6'2", 209. This is Mike Bolsinger. A pair of starts at AAA Reno to open this year. 2-0, a 1.42 ERA. You know, Brad, you talked to Bolsinger before the game after he arrived. What's going through his mind right now?
Well, obviously very excited, but the real interesting conversation was with Kevin Towers, talking to the media before the game. He said he's yet to see this guy have a bad outing. Says he probably has the best breaking ball in the entire organization. He likened him a lot to Josh Comenter, a guy that can go out there and throw a lot of innings. There's just a lot of upside to this guy. He also wanted to say that, you know, Archie Bradley might have been the I guess sexy choice to bring up. But he said he's just not ready yet. Reno's the place for him. He didn't want to bring him up. This team's been struggling. They didn't want to view Archie as a savior and put a trying to pressure on him. But he thinks that the time is now for Bolsinger. And like he said, just a great arm, lively arm, and a guy that competes every pitch.
1-2 on Eric Young. Ooh. And Mike Bolsinger strikes out his first major league hitter. Go get him, kid.
Right after Brad mentions that nasty breaking pitch, look at this. Woo! That is a 12-6 yacker right there. Started on the inside part of the plate, stayed on the inside corner. Tremendous downward movement.
Bolsinger worked just over 12 innings with Reno as they save the souvenir. First big league strikeout to his first major league hitter. Daniel Murphy doubled and scored his last time. Just over 12 innings with Reno for Bolsinger. Gave up 10 hits, 10 strikeouts. Born in McKinney, Texas. Went to high school there. Murphy shoots it into left. Trumbo backs up. Daniel Murphy 2 for 3.
Third baseman, David Wright.
And now Bolsinger will work to David Wright. Bolsinger out of high school in Texas, drafted 34th round by the Indians in '06. He passed on that, went to college instead at the University of Arkansas. He's a Razorback. Oakland drafted him in the 33rd round. Passed on that. Stayed at Arkansas. D-backs got him in the 15th round in 2010. 1-0. Last season, Bolsinger split his time between AA Mobile and AAA Reno. Outstanding numbers in AA, 4-0, and ERA right at 2.5. Nice block by Miggy there. But in Reno, as often happens with the elevation in the Pacific Coast League, the ERA jumped up from 2.5 in AA to 4.72 in AAA. 17 appearances, all starts. He went 7-7. He's looked good in AAA so far this year, Bud.
Really tough to gauge pitchers and hitters for that matter in that Pacific Coast League because, as you mentioned, the ball seems to jump in a lot of the ballparks. As the season wears on, the infields get very dry, very hard. The ball shoots through the infield. So inflated numbers are not out of the ordinary for very good players in that Coast League.
And he's been starting this year, so pitch count should not be an inning. Or shouldn't be an issue, I should say. 3-0, and there's a strike. And again, he is scheduled to take Trevor Cahill's start Saturday in Dodger Stadium. Cahill moves to the bullpen, so he'll have time to recover between now and then. Get those big league butterflies out of the way tonight. Look out, David Wright. There's a walk.
Trying to overthrow that breaking ball just a little bit. Certainly understandable making your major league debut, but back down in the zone.
Little pep talk.
Sometimes you just go out and remind the guy making his debut, don't forget to breathe.
Did you ever go out there and just found some poor kid scared to death?
Oh yeah, found some veterans scared to death. I mean, it happens to everybody. You know, you get out there and the anticipation is probably more than the actual act itself. But Bolsinger just locked in on Miggy right now, just trying to focus on executing his pitches.
Curtis Granderson. Big bluff from Murphy at second base. He ran halfway to third, then stopped and turned around.
Now frustrated with himself. He had such a big jump, he stopped himself. Probably could have walked to third base had he kept going.
Bolsinger's got to remember to keep an eye on those base runners. Got to be tough when you're making your big league debut. He's ahead of Granderson quickly, 0-2.
Seems like a simple thing, but if you just make base runners stop, just don't allow them to have their momentum moving to that next base. If you make them come to a complete stop, most of the time they're not going to run. And that time a second look back to second base stopped Murphy. Once again, just overthrowing that breaking ball. Needs to really reach out there. Don't want to bounce it in the dirt right now with runners on base, but sometimes that's how you get that curveball back in the zone. If you're missing high, missing high, missing high, really focus on bouncing one right on home plate.
Everything's up.
Yep.
Boy, the game for this kid must be moving 1,000 miles an hour right now. 2-2. Right through the vacated spot. Murphy will come home. RBI single for Granderson, 4-2 Mets.
Be a good hitter, you can be a smart hitter, you can be both. Curtis Granderson, he just kind of guides that ball through the left side. Wasn't trying to drive it, wasn't trying to put it in the gap. Just get the barrel on it. Huge hole on that left side of the infield with the exaggerated shift, and by the time Trumbo can get to the baseball, Murphy comes around and scores easily from second base.
A run in, 4-2 ball game. Wright the runner now at second. Granderson at first. Lucas Duda 2 for 2. An RBI single. He scored a run. Sign. Very generic.
Well, although you can hold it up in any situation.
That one's into right. Here comes Wright. Here's the throw from Parra, and he is safe. Still no signal from Hunter Wendelstedt as the ball rolled away from Montero. The Bolsinger now with 3 singles and a walk in the inning, and it's 5-2 New York.
Kind of surprising they sent Wright with Gerardo Parra and his reputation out there for about the 3rd time this year. A short hop. I mean, Parra unleashes a rocket home, but the ball hits so close to Miggy, he's not able to corral it there at home plate, even though it hits him right in the glove. Just can't hang on as Wright slides by.
Well, Bolsinger got Eric Young looking for his first major league hitter. But then Murphy singled, Wright walked, singles by Granderson and Duda have made it a 5-2 ball game, and still only 1 out.
White center fielder Juan Lagares.
Duda 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Here's Lagares. He doubled in the second, 1 for 2. This one is into right for Parra. 2 down.
With the new rules at the plays at the plate this year, I was always taught on a ball hit to the outfield, a possible play at the plate, you immediately step up and assume the position where you want to be. If the throw is perfect and everything goes the way you hope, you assume the position where you want to be when you receive that ball. And then, of course, you have to adjust if the throw's up the line or you need to reach out into the infield a little bit. And unfortunately for Miggy, a couple of Gerardo Parra's throws this year have been very good, very accurate, but very close to him. Tough, tough short hops.
Travis d'Arnaud. Kirk Gibson has said that when Gerardo Parra throws a baseball, for whatever reason, he is able to apply so much backspin that the ball actually skips on the ground lower than throws for most outfielders. So they come in hotter, they come in quicker for the teammate, in this case the catcher, to field the ball. So it's all about getting that bounce right to help out your fielder.
And it could be that Gerardo Parra needs to make an adjustment on his target as well to give Miggy a little bit of a longer hop. You see, he was giving Wright a lane to home plate right there, but at the same time he's trying to close that ground a little bit so he's ready to apply that sweep tag and catch the ball at the same time, and just couldn't do it there.
Curtis Granderson, the runner at second. Lucas Duda at first. A ball and 2 strikes to Travis d'Arnaud. This is out to right. It backs up Parra near the track. Mike Bolsinger makes it through his first major league inning, but the Mets get 2. They lead it 5-2. Fan Express, brought to you by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is ready to take you to a D-backs game here at Chase Field. Just stop by the Cox retail store at Tempe Marketplace, and you can enter to win 2 seats on this Fan Express bus. Look at that thing. That is gorgeous. They'll take you to the D-backs game against the Dodgers May 18th, and they'll take you back. More info, FoxSportsArizona.com, or you could drive your Ram truck to the ball game.
Either way.
But don't miss that Fox Sports Arizona Fan Express. That thing is sweet.
Yeah, I saw the bus when I pulled out of the ballpark the other day. The fans were loading up for the ride home. That is a nice looking ride.
A.J. Pollock leads off the Diamondback 5th. A.J. flied out his first time up. Diamondbacks have been out hit 8-4. They trail it 5-2. Bounce to third, right from the edge of the grass. One away. And so Mike Bolsinger, who just finished his first big league inning, will take his first major league at bat. The Arkansas Razorback.
You might as well get a knock. Your first major league at bat. Struck out the first batter he faced in the big leagues. Make it a ball night.
Ball 1.
If you're back there and some kid, I know it's a pitcher, but anybody taking their first major league at bat, you ever hear some knees knocking? Some nerves?
I don't recall hearing knees knock, but yeah, you can usually tell by their body language that occasionally they're not quite comfortable in that batter's box, especially the pitchers.
How much benefit do you think is there really having Bolsinger get all of this out of the way before he starts Saturday against the Dodgers?
Oh, I think it's hugely important. I mean, Dodger Stadium is a whole different place. Anybody that's been there or especially played there, if you've ever been on field level, there's something about looking up at those 5 decks.
Oof. All those yellow seats.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
palm trees.
It's just massive. And it can get between your ears a little bit. So I think the fact that he's been able to get out on the mound tonight, throw some pitches, settle in, make all the phone calls to all the buddies back home and the family and everything like that, get it out of the way tonight. So when he goes into Dodger Stadium, hopefully he'll approach it as just another start.
And he strikes out in his first major league at bat. That's the 3rd strikeout for Wheeler. And Brad has more. Brad.
Yeah, always a great story when you get called up to the big leagues for the very first time. Mike was telling me he was out with a bunch of Aces teammates. They were at dinner. He said they were riding him pretty hard, giving them the business. He didn't know what was going on, but midway through the dinner, got a phone call. It was Aces skipper Phil Nevin. They put it on speakerphone, and that's how he told him that he was getting the call to the show. And so he was obviously excited, but teammates let him have it. Bob, what was your story when you got the call for the first time?
Mine was a little different, Brad, because it was after the players' strike in 1981. I was playing here in Phoenix for the Phoenix Giants over at Old Muni Stadium, and we were actually on an off day, and I had some family in town, my mother, my aunt, my uncle, and my wife Joan. We all went to the Grand Canyon for the day. And this is obviously in the days before cell phones or cars. But driving back from the Grand Canyon, I heard it on the radio.
No.
Yeah. The Giants made a roster move today. You know, they released a couple of guys and called up a couple of our Phoenix Giants. And I said, did they just say my name? So I, drove 100 miles an hour the rest of the way home. And as soon as I got home, I called my manager, Rocky Bridges, at the time. And he said, where in the heck have you been? Pack your bags. They need you in San Francisco tomorrow morning.
It's a modern day equivalent of finding out on Twitter, I guess, right?
I guess, yeah.
So you're on a burro in the Grand Canyon, then you're headed to San Francisco and Candlestick Park.
But yeah, that's kind of an odd way to hear it, but there's not a bad way to hear you're getting called to the big leagues.
Parra shoots it to left. T.Y. Jr. is there. And Wheeler works a 1-2-3 fifth. Diamondbacks trail at 5-2. Is brought to you in part by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. Hey, Bradley! You down there?
Pack your bags.
Get to San Francisco. Well, call up somebody else then. Look at that, huh?
Just beautiful.
The great state of Arizona. That's where Mike Bolsinger finds himself on a major league mound for the second inning of his career. 3 hits, a walk, and 2 runs allowed his first time. He'll work to RUBEN TEJADA lead off the New York 6th. TEJADA the pitcher spot, and then Young 8-9-1. First pitch is popped up. Drifting near the seats, Goldie. Oh, he does that as well as anybody.
He makes it look easy because he practices that. He comes out here early as coaches hit fungos down that direction. He knows where he is on the field, how much room he has, and right up against the railing able to make the play.
The Gold Glover. Wheeler will hit in the 6th. He has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. Working on the needle point here. It's nice. Kick back, relax, get some work done. Watch the D-backs. You probably noticed by now that Bolsinger's not going to blow you away velocity-wise. He's got to spot the fastball, work that curveball. He's topped out at 90. This is there. He's behind the pitcher, 3-1. He walked the pitcher. Hey fans, do you think you are Arizona's #1 super fan? Well, now's the time to prove it. Log on to foxsportsarizona.com/superfan for all the details. So what happened once you did get actually to San Francisco?
Well, that's a whole nother story because
what happened then?
Went back to Phoenix, quickly packed things up, jumped in the car, and driving to San Francisco actually because I had my wife and all our stuff and everything. And as I said, it was during the player strike in '81, so I had to get to San Francisco for a workout. It wasn't actually a game. They gave us a week to work out before they resumed the '81 season. And driving north through California, I thought I was just tired. It seemed like my headlights were getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer.
Oh, don't tell me.
The alternator burned out on the car.
Should have stuck with the burro.
Yeah, I should have, really. It was probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning out in the middle of nowhere, and the only time in my life I was ever happy to see a highway patrolman pull up behind me. And I said, sir, you know, something wrong with the car here. Lights are going dim. Can't drive. I don't want to, you know, cause an accident. He says, well, where are you headed? I told him, I just got called up to the San Francisco Giants. And fortunately, the highway patrolman was a big Giants fan. He says, are you the pitcher or the catcher? Oh, yes, indeed. I'm the catcher, sir. So he hauled us into the next town where he knew a mechanic, got him out of bed. They got me a used alternator, slapped it in the car, and I was on my way probably within 2 hours and pulled into San Francisco as the sun was coming up. Get to the hotel where they put the players up in San Francisco, and there's no rooms at the hotel. Well, there is one room, but it was slept in last night. So
by the guy he replaced?
We went in and ripped all the sheets and blankets off the bed, rolled out the sleeping bags, napped for an hour, and went to the ballpark for my first workout with my new teammates, of which I knew one, the guy I got called up with, because I had never been to big league camp.
The pitcher.
Yeah, Bob Tufts. Whew, what a whirlwind that was.
Well, that's a heck of a 24 hours.
I'm telling you. And I really thought it was just my eyes. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. It's been a long day. All the excitement and everything. And eventually there were no lights. Not good. Not good at all. But thank goodness Bubba was willing to get out of bed and come down and slap a new alternator on the van, and off we went.
Two and two to EY Jr. That's out of play.
And that gets back to what we were talking about on that last road trip. Walking into Candlestick Park, it was the most beautiful place I'd ever seen in my life. Are you kidding me?
You got to complain about it for years afterward, but on that day,
it was the most beautiful spot on earth.
Getting a look at Mike Bolsinger, who starts in Trevor Cahill's spot Saturday. We should also mention that the veteran left-hander Randy Wolf is pitching tonight for Reno, just down the road in Tucson. He's still in the ball game. They're trailing El Paso 4-1 in the 7th. Randy Wolf tonight, 6 innings, 4 runs allowed on 6 hits, a walk and 7 strikeouts. And so he's a possibility as well. 3 and 2 now, as they search for answers in the rotation. 10th pitch of the at-bat coming up. So who'd you get to face your first time up?
My first at bat in the major leagues was against a right-hander from the Cincinnati Reds named Mike Lacoste. You remember
Mike? Tall guy.
Yeah, Pink Panther, yeah. He carved me up pretty good my first couple of at-bats, but then I got a base hit against Scott Brown, another right-hander, relief pitcher for the Reds that year.
Little looper past PRADO and a diving Owings. Wheeler had to hold up. He's in at second. A tremendous at-bat there by Eric Young Jr. And he's on base for the 3rd time tonight.
What a battle that was. Just over PRADO, just past Chris Owings. Nice effort by both, but that's about as well placed a hit as you will ever see.
And this is where Bolsinger ran into trouble in the last inning. He struck out Young looking, and his first major league hitter. But then Murphy singled, Wright walked, Granderson singled, DUDA singled, and the Mets got 2. So now with Wheeler on second, Young on first, he'll work to Murphy, who's 2 for 3. Oh! This guy's a hitter. Just hits. RBI totals have gone up each of the last 3 years. Last year, he doubled his home run total from the previous season.
And he plays half his ball games in a ballpark that's not really conducive to the long ball.
They're still trying to get that part right.
Yeah, trying to figure that one out.
Mets fans were so angry when Citi Field opened up. There was no blue anywhere. That trademark Met blue. It looked more like the Polo Grounds back in the day. Met fans want their blue. They've since changed it. Moved some of the fences in. Painted some walls. And of course, Citi Field has that beautiful rotunda, speaking of Jackie Robinson Day, where you walk in and there's the giant 42 right in the rotunda that greets you with a Jackie Robinson exhibit. And then you go up the escalator, just like at Ebbets Field, and you're into Citi Field. Wheeler at second, Young at first.
Well, the Mets took the blue from the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the orange from the
New York Giants.
New York Giants.
Yeah. Come on out and meet the Mets. Ion Vera is a Miggy fan. The only Vera I know is Norm's wife from Cheers.
Oh, wow. That's good trivia.
Remember Vera?
I can't say as I do.
You're not a Cheers guy? You never saw Vera. She was always home. And as Norm would always say, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear. 2-2 to Murphy. Bolsinger, quick glove
they get the force on Young, and they can't get the out at first. Wheeler moves to third.
It sure looked like a potential double play off the bat. I'm not sure if Bolsinger had trouble finding a handle on the ball, or he was just being very deliberate, giving Chris Owings time to get to the bag.
Third baseman David
A couple of extra crow hops before finally firing out to second base, and that eliminated any chance of the double play as Murphy's busting it down that line.
So now it's first and third, 2 outs for David Wright. He walked and scored his last time. Wright is 0 for 2. He comes into this series with a 5-game hit streak. Still trying to get it going at .220 on the year. Strike 2. Wright did not have a very good spring at all. He only hit 216 games without a home run. He was fighting a bad case of the flu as the Mets opened the season. And so his numbers are not what we're used to seeing. Bolsinger ahead 0-2. Curtis Granderson's spot is due up next. Big strikeout there for Mike Bolsinger. He strands 2 and puts up a 0. We'll head to the home half of the 6th inning. Bolsinger strikes out David Wright. It's 5-2 New York. Of work. He's got a 5-2 lead. He'll work to Aaron Hill to lead off the inning. So far, only 2 runs allowed on 4 hits. He has walked 2 and struck out 3. Aaron Hill has one of those hits, a single his last time up, but these two have met before tonight. We flash back. Last season, August 10th.
Maybe that's why we haven't seen many breaking balls from Wheeler tonight. A hanging slider that time, and Aaron Hill golfed it out to left field.
So we'll see if Aaron can get the Diamondbacks started in the 6th. Andrew Brown, who was in the on-deck circle ready to hit for Curtis Granderson when Wright struck out, goes out to right field to replace the Grandy man. So maybe there's an issue with that wrist or forearm. when he collided with the wall in right. On the ball, Montero hitting the first. 0-1 to Aaron Hill. Hill, Goldschmidt, Montero, 2, 3, and 4.
I'll tell you, good hitters at the major league level will make an attempt to eliminate pitches. And we mentioned Zack Wheeler, fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, although he's mostly fastball, fastball, fastball. But if he proves that he can't throw any of his other secondary pitches for strikes, you just eliminate them.
How about Wright stepping in front of Tejada with that nice spinning throw? And there's one away.
We haven't seen a straight changeup yet in this game. We haven't seen him throw a curveball for a strike, and we've seen him throw very few sliders in the strike zone. So when you go up to the plate, you sit on fastball early in the count in one location, and then when you get to 2 strikes, you have to be a little bit more defensive. But if you can eliminate some of a guy's arsenal just because of the way he's throwing on that particular night, certainly it improves your chances of getting a hit.
Goldie hits that high to center field, but Lagares is there. First pitch swinging by Goldie, trying to make sure that Wheeler is still ambushable. Hey, I want to go back to that ground ball by Aaron Hill. There have been others in the ball game, BB, and this is one thing we don't get to see a lot. The catcher is always running up the first base line on these routine plays.
Well, you got to back up the play. You know, a ball hit to the right side of the infield. Maybe you don't run as far down the line. You want to be in position where if the throw gets by the first baseman, you'll be right there to back it up. When the ball's hit to the left side of the infield, especially third base, you got to bust it down there a little bit more to make sure you can get any overthrows.
Miguel Montero.
And not only the catcher, but you know, ground ball to the left side of the infield with nobody on base. The second baseman and right fielder have absolutely nothing to do. So many times you'll see the second baseman run into foul territory. You'll see the right fielder come into foul territory just in case the ball hits the barrier and ricochets oddly and gets away from either the catcher or the second baseman, the right fielder. Somebody will be there to back it up.
Over the glove of Wheeler. Murphy is there, and Miggy beats it out up the line. Miguel Montero, his second hit tonight.
Put it in a good spot. Daniel Murphy playing Miggy to pull a little bit. Had a long way to go to get to that ball, and by the time he makes that jump throw to first, it's too late.
People don't realize how much catchers run when they're out there defensively. With all that gear on, you're sprinting up the line, trailing the base runner.
And anybody that's caught for any amount of time will tell you that you can run down there and back up that play 99 times and nothing will ever happen. The one time you decide to stay behind home plate and have a chat with the umpire, that's when the infielder is going to throw the ball away and you're not there to back it up. It usually happens to every catcher one time, and then that's it.
And they're very happy in New York with Travis d'Arnaud's defense. It's the offense they're waiting for. 0-1. PRADO has grounded out and struck out. There's a lot of fans here in the ballpark tonight, BB, with pictures of Mike. That's Mike's fan club. We want to wish Mike the best. He is recovering right now from open heart surgery, and he's got all these people here at the ball game thinking about it. So, Mike, from all of us here at Fox Sports Arizona and the Diamondbacks, hang in there.
Get well soon, and come on back out here yourself, Mike. Love to see you out here at the ballpark.
Another hopper up the middle. Tejada has this one. And he throws out PRADO. So Wheeler strands the 2-out single. He's through 6 with a 5-2 lead. And last half inning as a defensive replacement for Curtis Granderson. No word yet on the condition of Granderson, who slammed into the right field fence in the first inning on what turned out to be an RBI double by Miguel Montero. So Andrew Brown at 143 and a homer. Brown last year, 68 games with the Mets, hit .227 and homered 7 times. Played. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say he had a little big league time with the Cardinals back in the 2011 season. Only played in 11 ball games that year. For the Rockies in 2012, he appeared in 46 games, but settling in here with the Mets as a backup outfielder.
3-0. Yeah, Brown was originally a Cardinals draft pick, 18th round, out of Nebraska. They took him in 07, waived him about 4 years later. Here he is with the Mets. Martin Prado.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game. Well, we've had a run of Sanderson Ford finalists lately, 3 in a row.
Everybody wants in on that brand new Sanderson Ford, and why wouldn't you? Lucas DUDA 3 for 3. He has singled 3 times. He has 2 RBIs and scored a run. Looks at a strike.
Deception seemed to be the word of the road trip, talking about pitchers and things they do on the mound. Bolsinger has a little bit of deception. If you watch the very beginning of his windup, watch his left leg. It kind of starts up and then stops and then goes again. Yep, can't get on the right page here with Miggy for what pitch he wants to throw. Doesn't do it out of the stretch, but out of the windup, just what we like to call a little hitch in his giddy up.
Looks a lot like some of the Japanese pitchers you see there. With that pause. 2-1.
Watch the front leg as he turns. Stops briefly and then brings the knee on up to his chest and then fires toward home.
A busy day for the Diamondbacks. Will Harris sent to AAA Reno. Bolsinger brought up. Trevor Cahill goes to the bullpen. Bolsinger starts Saturday in Cahill's spot. And Randy Wolf pitching for Reno tonight. Hard to right. And Lucas DUDA's got himself a 4 for 4. In case you're joining us late, here's everything that happened today with the Diamondbacks. Get you updated. Will Harris, who has options, we've talked about that, meaning he can be sent down to the minor leagues without having to clear waivers. He goes to AAA Reno. Bolsinger comes up. Trevor Cahill goes to the bullpen. Bolsinger takes Cahill's rotation spot. And Randy Wolf is busy in Reno, or for Reno tonight, I should say, in Tucson. And again, Wolf tonight, through his first 6 innings of work, gave up 4 runs on 6 hits, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. And now, as they used to say in San Diego, it'll be Trevor time out of the bullpen. Oh, and 1 to Lagares. And we'll talk to Joe Borowski about that coming up in the next half inning. Joe is back with us after another weekend off. Sailing, probably. Some fancy dinners. Let's see if they can turn it. Hill, Owings. Lagares has got good speed, beats it out.
Joe's a little bit like the Eric Chavez of the broadcast crew. You know, you play him 2 or 3 days in a row, and then you got to sit him a day or two.
Well, he'll hurt himself if he's up here all the time. And he was, you know, he's a reliever. He's a bullpen guy. He's used to coming in every once in a while. Just, hey, get us 3 outs here.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll check back with you in a day or two. And that's where Xavi is right now. And it's a role, by the way, he welcomes Eric. We've talked about that. He knows, look, I can't go every day. I need 250 at-bats or so. Travis d'Arnaud is 0 for 3, the catcher. d'Arnaud lined a ball to PRADO at third his first time up, took away an RBI. And he has twice flied out.
I think there's some issue with Juan Lagares down there at first base. The first base coach, Tom Goodwin, kind of pointing at his own hamstring and then pointing a finger at Lagares. And now the Mets trainer is going to come out and have a word with him, trying to beat out that potential double play, maybe overextended and possibly strained a muscle.
And this is the one guy in this lineup who is hitting consistently. I know DUDA has had a 4 for 4, but he came in hitting 226. Lagares has been the hitter in this lineup at better than 320. And now Terry Collins checking a lineup card. What's this conversation?
Well, that last double play, or the double play attempt rather, Aaron Hill stepped right up into the baseline to field the ball. Now there was a possibility he could have attempted to tag the runner and then throw on to first base, but he elected to turn and flip the ball to Chris Owings, who had all of his momentum coming across the bag. I think Aaron Hill just felt that the runner going from first to second was going to stop and lay down and force him to make a decision whether to tag the runner for the out or throw to first for the out. So he tried to go the 4-6-3 route, just not enough time.
So Lagares will indeed come out of the ball game, and Ike Davis is in. One 1-0 to d'Arnaud. There's a strike. And that's the last thing the Mets needed right now. Base hitting to left. Fans, MLB.TV Premium, #1 live streaming sports service, celebrates 12 years, and you can join the millions of subscribers who watch every out-of-market game live on over 400 devices. No matter what you got, you can get the games. Visit dbacks.com for details. Now 11 hits for the Mets. They've out-hit the D-backs 11-5. Ruben Tejada, 0 for 3, does have an RBI. He drove in the Mets' first run in the second on an RBI groundout. Tejada, part of the Mets shortstop mix last year, and because of New York's apparent refusal to cave to public pressure to bring in free agent Stephen Drew, he is back in the mix this year. That's a marriage that a lot of people thought would happen. Stephen Drew still doesn't have a job. He's still out there. Mets need a shortstop, but they are standing with Tejada and Quintanilla. And Stephen Drew is still out there looking for a job, which is odd after playing such a big role on the Red Sox team that won the World Series last year. He had a tremendous defensive season at shortstop. 3 balls and a strike.
Good stuff in the team shop. And they get new stuff in all the time. I gotta go in there all the time to make sure I got the latest stuff. As you know me, I walk out of here with bags of it everywhere we go. 3-2. Runners off of the pitch. That's fouled away. Every kind of t-shirt, every kind of hat combo, all the different color mixes.
Golf bag. Look at this.
That's a good looking golf bag.
Yeah.
That'll look good on the back of the cart. Called strike 3. Third strikeout for Michael Bolsinger. And we'll stretch and head to the home half of the 7th. Joe Borowski joins us. We'll talk about the pitching changes for the D-backs when we come back. Gone to our bullpen. Here's Joe Borowski. What do you think of all the moves here today?
Well, when your team is struggling to find something that's going to bring it together, it's almost like you're in desperation mode. You're trying to make moves that's going to get a spark for this team. You got to start putting together consistent games, put together winning streaks, and they're going to try and do whatever they can.
Well, let's start from the beginning, which is always best. What about Josh Comenter as a starter?
I saw him starting to pass. I saw him have success. The one thing that Josh that you're going to have to keep an eye on is his third time through the order, and he's just a guy who I love his just coming in out of the bullpen. I think he does a fantastic job. But when you're in a stretch like the Diamondbacks are going through, you're looking for that certain spark, and Josh has definitely earned the right to get that start, and he's a guy who has done it in the past and has had success with it. So the Diamondbacks are hoping that he can gain that again.
TRUMBO hits it a mile high to right. Brown has it. We showed you the defensive changes. DUDA now in left. Eric Young moves to center, replacing Lagares, and Ike Davis takes over at first.
In a perfect world, when your pitching staff struggles, your offense picks up the slack. It doesn't always happen that way, obviously, but when your offense struggles, your pitching gets a little better, you kind of ham and egg it. But when everything's going south at the same time, you have to make changes. You can't just allow the ship to keep going toward the waterfall. You got to do something to try to turn it around.
So based, Joe, on what we've seen tonight, granted very small sample size, but what do you make of Mike Bolsinger?
I think this is the best thing that could have happened to him, was getting an outing in before his start. And a lot of times what I saw out there, it looked like he was a little bit tentative, and that's understandable. It's your first time in the big leagues. You got a little butterflies. But now he's got that under his belt. So you expect the next time he goes out there, he'll be a little more crisp. We heard how much he pounds the strike zone. You saw he was a little bit around the strike zone today. So hopefully this outing will just get him ready for his start when he goes up against L.A.
Well, as we just saw, that's a very unforgiving lineup down there at Dodger Stadium. You can't afford to make a lot of mistakes. And for me, Bolsinger, you know, as Steve said, not overpowering with his fastball, but when he's commanding that breaking pitch, he can get some big outs and some funny-looking swings. Maybe overthrowing it a little bit a couple times tonight, left some breaking balls up high, but we saw some really good ones, too, that got out some pretty good Mets hitters.
And that's the thing that mostly that I saw tonight was he was a little inconsistent with his fastball and being able to spot it where he wanted to. And that's what he's going to have to do when he starts, is he's going to have to be able to locate that fastball.
There's Owings, sneaks it down the left field line, and Owings is in at second with his second double this year.
David Wright rather, playing way off the line down there at third base. There's just a little two-hopper. Wright just can't close ground quickly enough. It rolls all the way down into the corner for a double. I think that gets back to what we know about Chris Owings. He's an up-the-middle-of-the-field guy right now. Up the middle, opposite way. So opposing teams are giving him that third baseline. That time he rolled over an off-speed pitch and able to sneak into second base with a double.
A.J. Pollock 0 for 2. Well, Joe, the other part of this equation now is Trevor Cahill.
Yeah.
And he's in the bullpen. He's going to have his spot in the rotation at least skipped in terms of his participation for one start, and then we'll see where we are. What does he do as a member of the bullpen now to try and get it back?
Well, the last thing you're going to do is feel sorry for yourself. You have to go down there and almost make it personal. Make it as a challenge by the Diamondbacks, saying we want you to go down there and try to find what you had earlier. And the thing is you can either go down there or pout, or you can work hard to get back to where you were, and that's what you have to do. I liken this to when I played with the Indians and Cliff Lee. I remember Cliff Lee had an unbelievable year and was doing well as a starter. And then the one year he got sent down to the minors, he took it personally. And he went down there and worked hard, and he came back the next year and won the Cy Young. And it's just how you accept or how you don't accept that demotion.
In a very unfamiliar role for Trevor, certainly.
Sure, absolutely. Anytime you're a starter your entire career and now you're going down to the bullpen, it's a different mindset you have to have, and you have to be willing to accept that for the short term in order to work hard to get back to the starting rotation.
And certainly a very different case from Josh Colmenter, who's done a little bit of both here, and now he's back starting again. Not that big a deal for Josh.
This worked for the Diamondbacks and Kirk Gibson last year. On occasion, he'd move down to the far third base end of that dugout, jumpstart the offense. See if it has the same effect this year.
Well, they have a pair of one-out base runners. Yep, down the other end quickly. Tony Campana will hit for the pitcher.
Campana will take the at-bat here in the pitcher spot. I thought this might be one of those situations. Tony had been out in the on-deck circle throughout the entire at-bat by A.J. Pollock, but trailing by 3 runs in the game, I thought this might be the one time you would take your shot with Eric Chavez, the guy that could possibly hit one out of the ballpark.
Terry Collins waits for Campana to be announced as the hitter, and he'll go out to speak to Hunter Wendelstedt. And it looks like we'll get a double switch. And you want to get into this Met bullpen. This is where they've really had their issues. As Bob mentioned, the Mets have had the lead at some point in 11 of their 12 games. Yet they come in here 5-7. Pitching change, back with more after this. Now when the Philadelphia Phillies take on the D-backs, you can get the most bang for your buck with the D-backs Value Pack. That's a bleacher ticket, a hot dog, or a Subway sandwich. A regular Pepsi and a cookie, only $21. Don't forget that zombie night on Friday. That's Patrick Corbin bobblehead day on Saturday. More information, visit dbacks.com/value. New pitcher for the Mets, the right-hander Carlos Torres. Last year, a career-high 33 appearances, including 9 starts. He's on for the 7th time this year. In his last 4 appearances, he's done really well. 2-0, 8 strikeouts, 5 scoreless innings. He comes in with a 1.50 ERA. Anthony Recker behind the plate now for the Mets. Tony Campana hits for the pitcher. Our Trumbo opened up the inning with a fly ball to right. Owings doubled down the line. Pollock walked. And now here's Campana hitting for Bolsinger. Roller near second. Davis plays it. Nice job by Torres to cover the bag. And the runners move up. Tough play when it's hit that slowly and you've got Campana running.
Right fielder,
At first slide, BB.
Yeah, I mean, I think perhaps Tony was anticipating a possible tag by the pitcher Torres instead of going straight to the bag, but unless you actually see that guy attempting to tag you, run right through the bag.
So Owings is at third, Pollock at second. 2 down, Gerardo Parra. He is 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the third. Joe, how tough an out is Gerardo Parra?
Well, I like him in this situation, especially he's really good swings tonight. It just like short, quick to the ball. Would like to see one of those fall in, particularly right now. Big 2 runs out there right now for the Diamondbacks. Get him right back in this game.
Boy, his first at bat of the game, he scalded that ball to straightaway center field. Looked like a sure base hit, but it carried all the way out to then Juan Lagares, who was playing center field at the time.
2 down, tying run at the plate. To the left, DUDA's out there. Joe will check you out on Diamondback Live.
Looking forward to it, guys.
D-backs strand 2 and through 7 they trail at 5-2.
One is back with a big league doubleheader. First, Mike Trout and the Angels take on Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers, and then the D-backs battle the Dodgers in Los Angeles. The action starts at 9:30 in the morning on Fox Sports 1 and streaming on Fox Sports Go.
A lot of changes on both lineup cards. Some news on Curtis Granderson now. You'll remember he slammed into the right field wall on the ball that Miguel Montero hit back in the first. Eventually had to come out of the game. And what isn't hurting on Curtis after this play? Right now they're looking at a left rib contusion, a left forearm contusion, and a left knee contusion. They are x-raying all three spots on Curtis Granderson. The rib, the forearm, and the knee.
Thank goodness that pole was padded.
Oof. Yeah. Of course, the ball was in and then out of the glove, hit by Montero. Turned out to be an RBI double for Miggy. And it scored the game's first run. There you see the lineup card in the dugout. Tony Campana hit for Mike Bolsinger. So the new pitcher is the hyphenator, Ryan Rowland-Smith. The pride of New South Wales, Australia, on for the 6th time this year. And after the double switch, the new catcher, Anthony Recker, comes in. He's hitting in the 9th spot. So Recker, Young, Murphy in the New York 8th. Anthony Recker, 50 games with the Mets last year, hit .215 with 6 homers. It's 2-0. These guys from Pennsylvania, out of that baseball powerhouse, Alvernia College. That's kind of near your neck of the woods in Coshocton, Ohio. Never heard of Alvernia?
Alvernia is a metropolis compared to Coshocton.
It's in Reading, PA.
I didn't know that.
Recker, an 18th round pick out of Alvernia by the Oakland A's in 05. There's the strike, 3-1.
Right, Recker was the guy. Didn't he hit a big home run to
that 4th of July 15 inning game? Yeah. After the Diamondbacks had taken the lead. That happened 3 times in that extra inning game. They went 15. The Diamondbacks would take the lead, and then the Mets would tie it in the home half, and we just kept going. Leadoff walk. All right, fans, this is it. We take a look, as promised earlier, and the winner tonight is Danielle. With Baxter there, the AT&T fan photo of the ball game. Tweet your photo with a hashtag and have it shown on an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Hashtag AZ fan photo. Eric Young Jr. bunts. Rowland-Smith throws it away. Recker to third. Aaron Hill backing up. Recker ends up at third, Young at second.
Well, it's never an easy play for a left-handed pitcher to pick up that ball with his back to his target and wheel around and throw, but it just looked like Ryan Rowland-Smith never had a grip on that ball. Threw it way over into foul territory, putting Mets in scoring position here with nobody out.
E1 brings up Daniel Murphy. Murphy is 2 for 4. He has singled, doubled, and scored twice. Sacrifice E1 if you're scoring. That backs A.J. Pollock up toward the gap in left center. He's underneath. Recker will tag and score. And it's a 6-2 ball game as Young heads to third. RBI for Daniel Murphy.
Third baseman David Wright.
David Wright. He has walked and scored a run, got an RBI ground out, and he struck out twice.
Big swing that time from David Wright. He's been such a good hitter throughout his entire career. For me, he's one of those guys, there's a term that hitting coaches use, his bat is in the strike zone for a long time. He gets it quickly from that position up behind his right shoulder, down into the hitting zone, and then through the hitting zone. He hits a lot of balls on the button. He hits a lot of balls hard, but he also gets a lot of base hits on jam shots that he just muscles into play because his bat stays in the zone. Occasionally that late movement will take it off the barrel of the bat, and he still gets his base hits.
Like that. 7-2 Mets.
Right fielder, Andrew Brown.
Good hitting, keeps his head right down, pitches down and out over the plate, doesn't try to pull it, drive it into right field for another RBI.
Diamondbacks had a 1-0 lead after one. The Mets got one in the second, two in the third, two in the fifth, and now two in the eighth. They have out-hit the Diamondbacks 12-6. Andrew Brown.
And there's no question David Wright has been the premier offensive third baseman. You go all the way back to the 05 season. He's #1 in hits, #1 in extra base hits, #1 in RBIs, and second only to Miguel Cabrera in batting average for third baseman.
Say cheese. David Wright, a 7-time All-Star, has won 2 Gold Gloves. Don't forget, come out tomorrow night, Jackie Robinson Day at Chase Field. The Mets and the Diamondbacks. You can visit the Negro League exhibit. That is in the upper right field deck portion of Chase Field, on loan, by the way, from the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. So a great day to be out at the ballpark.
Bronson Arroyo towing the slab for the Diamondbacks. Always enjoyable to watch Bronson Arroyo go about his craft.
There's the Negro League exhibit, upper right field deck. On loan from Kansas City. It's a great exhibit. One of the great nicknames of all time, Ted Double Duty Radcliffe.
How about that? Double duty.
3-2. Called strike 3. Roland Smith rings up Brown.
Left fielder, Lucas Duda.
Bullpen's been busy, and that's part of the issue.
That's never a stat you want to lead the league in.
Now the Dodgers have that bullpen. They have $10 million setup, man. That's a little different for them. Lucas Duda. He is 4 for 4 with 4 singles. He has driven in 2. He scored a run. 4 hits for Duda, ties a career high. So Bronson Arroyo on the mound tomorrow night. Jackie Robinson Day at the ballpark. And everyone will be wearing 42. 2 outs, David Wright at first. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Ryan Rowland-Smith, but the Mets add 2 more. Bottom of the 8th on the way. It's 7-2 New York.
$1998, a historic day in Diamondbacks history. Matt Williams against the St. Louis Cardinals with the very first grand slam in Diamondbacks history. Hurry up, Jay. You know, Matt Williams, he just liked to put his head down and round those bases on a home run. Jay Bell liked to trot, so Matty almost ran him down there at home plate. You see Matt Williams, Washington Nationals, trailing the Braves by a game in the National League East, 8-5 so far on the season.
We'll get to see Matty and the Nats in here in the not too distant future. That's May 12th, 13th, and 14th at Chase Field. The Diamondbacks and Nationals right here. That's Monday through Wednesday with the Washington Nats and their new skipper Matt Williams. Aaron Hill leads off the 8th. They beat the Marlins in Miami 9-2. Jordan Zimmerman, boy, that guy is underrated. Oof. Aaron Hill 1 for 3, a single in the 3rd. Carlos Torres back out there after getting the final 2 outs of the 7th. 24 games in relief last year, went 1-1 with a 1.47 ERA. Very effective out of that bullpen. 33 appearances last year, 9 starts. He strikes out Hill to open the Arizona 8th. Time for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. This catch by the guy on the phone in the blue.
Played it off so casually like he does it all the time. Just stuck it in his pocket, sat down, and continued his phone call.
He doesn't even appear to have mentioned that he just did catch the ball. Goldie has singled, walked, and scored a run. He's 1 for 2. Still there. See if he gets a phone call. This always happens. We get a shot of the guy, and then by the next batter, his phone is blowing up. Hard to center. Paul Goldschmidt has his second hit. He's been on base 3 times.
catcher, Miguel Montero.
So Goldie this year has played in all 16 games. He's hit safely in 14 of them. And the Diamondbacks get a one-out base runner for Miguel Montero. Miggy's had a good night. RBI double in the first. Drove in a run with a sac fly in the third and singled his last time up.
And double in the first was a play that chased Curtis Granderson into the fence out there in right field. Looked like it had home run distance off the bat. Miggy must have had a lot of topspin on it.
He's got it up to 265. So Miggy has now hit safely in 5 straight and 6 of his last 7. And over that span, he's got 6 RBIs. Two balls and a strike. Goldie can move up as it gets away from Recker behind the plate. And when the other catcher is the batter, they will always hand you the mask. Is that kind of a professional courtesy?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Just like when you know the catcher just took a foul tip, give him a little extra time. Umpire will do the same thing. There you go.
It's a brotherhood after all. 2-2.
What you're hoping to do is he'll feel so thankful that you were courteous and handed him his mask back. He'll call a fastball right down the middle on the next pitch. Never seemed to work that way. But
if the bond is that tight.
Yeah, that's the hope.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Shoots it into left. Drops in front of DUDA. They wave Goldschmidt. He will score. 3 RBIs tonight for Miguel Montero. He's got 3 hits.
Pulled the ball hard to right field his first at bat. This time he takes a cutter down in the zone, stays with it. We've seen that swing throughout spring training in the early part of the season at opposite field. Short, quick stroke produces an RBI base hit here.
Time for a conversation at the mound. Dan Worthen, the pitching coach, will go talk to his right-hander Carlos Torres. Mets bullpen is getting busy now. And it's the bullpen that's been the issue for the Mets this year. As we said, they have had the lead at some point in 11 of their 12 games, but they're 5-7. The bullpen ERA is right at 5. And so they've let some leads get away. It's like Papa Grande's getting ready to throw. Martin Prado. Farnsworth and Valverde, a couple of former closers. Prado 0 for 3. He has struck out and twice grounded out. There's a strike, 0-1. Murphy spins and throws. They get the force on Montero. Prado safe at first. Nice play by Daniel Murphy in what turned out to be shallow right field.
And nice job of anticipating the play. He knows Miguel Montero's running from first to second, has enough time to get the force at second base. Will not turn the double play, however.
So now it's PRADO at first, 2 outs, and Mark Trumbo comes up. Mark is 0 for 3. And the way he's been going, one swing can make it a 2-run ball game. That's what happened in the 7th inning yesterday with that 3-run shot off Jamie Wright. There's a strike. The major league leader in home runs and RBIs. Back with you tomorrow on Jackie Robinson Day at Chase Field. Mejia and Arroyo. Diamondbacks Live starts at 6 on Fox Sports Arizona. There's Bronson. The 0-2. Trumbo strikes out. They strand the runner, but they get one. And we'll head to the 9th. Diamondbacks trail the Mets 7-3. How about Mike Bolsinger in his major league debut? 3 innings and 3 strikeouts. Just called up from AAA Reno. He worked out of the bullpen tonight for his first 3 big league innings, and he will take Trevor Cahill's rotation spot and start against the Dodgers in Los Angeles on Saturday. Mike Bolsinger in his major league debut, our APS Energy All-Star. Ryan Rowland-Smith back out there for the 9th. He'll work to Ike Davis, the pitcher spot, and Ruben Tejada. So here comes the former Sun Devil.
Leading off for New York, first baseman.
And there's a lot of discussion in New York, as we mentioned earlier, about who should be the first baseman. And there's a lot of people that think it should be this guy. But Terry Collins had said, no, we're going with Lucas Duda. We're committed to Duda. And Duda's going to play about 3 out of every 4 days. Davis will play just to keep him sharp, but he is the backup as of right now. They also have Josh Satin in the mix. So a bit of a logjam at first. There's a strike.
Yeah, and Ike Davis, you're talking about a guy that's just a couple of years removed from a 32-homer, 90 RBI season. There's a lot of Diamondbacks fans who remember Ike Davis's name, of course, at Arizona State, but also at Chaparral High School. 3-time 4A state champions.
First round pick out of ASU. 18th overall by the Mets in the 08 draft. But last year, Ike was striking out at an alarming rate, about 27% of the time. And in early June, he was barely hitting 160, so he was sent down to the minor leagues. He was down there for about a month. Came back to the big leagues and hit 267 the rest of the way with 4 homers. And he did show a better batting eye, but he looks at strike 3 there. That's 3 straight strikeouts for the hyphenator. And Torres is going to take the AB here.
Pitcher Carlos Torres.
They had Farnsworth and Valverde warming. But with a 7-3 lead in the 9th, the pitcher will hit. And the Mets bullpen, everyone's sitting back down. Well, most everyone. And it's time for some bullpen antics. The water down the back. It is the desert after all. Rounds to first. Goldie's there. I mean, you got to be enjoying this weather and coming out to the ballpark. You couldn't have drawn up a more perfect day. We saw it was snowing in Chicago today, right?
Yeah.
We were playing in Cincinnati in just miserable conditions, Reds and Pirates.
Never have to worry about that here.
Ruben Tejada, the shortstop. By the way, don't forget to pack your jacket on this next trip, because after LA, we go to Wrigley for 4.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get to see the granddaughter.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Gemma Rose. Oh, I always pack a jacket when we go to Wrigley. I learned my lesson there.
Oh, that's Sunday last year.
Oh, my.
Wind coming in off the lake.
I mean, it's a well-known fact around the National League. You go to Wrigley Field, you might have the first game of the series be 80 degrees and sunny. The second game of the series will be 50 and windy and cold. And the final game, it might be snowing this time of year. You never know.
Well, we played the Saturday night game there last year. Got delayed by about 4 hours because of thunderstorms. Big summertime thunderstorms. We go back the next morning, Sunday, and it's 30-something degrees. And that wind is blowing straight in the booth off the lake. Mm-hmm. What's the deal? Base hit. Tejada 1 for 5.
Catcher Anthony Recker.
Brings up Anthony Recker.
When you think about it, for Terry Collins, leaving Torres in to take the at-bat right there. You mentioned the bullpen's been a little iffy for the Mets this year. He's already probably eliminated from use in the ball game tomorrow. He's already cranked up. Hasn't reached any kind of a pitch limit, and still pitching effectively, so run him out there for 1 more.
And Torres has been a starter before, 9 starts last year, so he's by no means a short man back there. Recker walked and scored his first time up. Came into the ball game about midway through. By the way, Cody Ross continues his rehab with AAA Reno. Going into tonight, Cody had played 7 games with the Aces, hitting .348 with a double and 6 RBIs. And they hope to take Cody with us when we leave for the next road trip on Thursday. Head to LA for 3, Chicago for 4 against the Cubs. And the plan is for Cody Ross to be on the trip and activate. So they're going to have to figure out something in terms of the 25, maybe a drop back to 12 pitchers, because you'd like to keep Tony Campana. He's been an effective player, and he's usually impacted the game when he's in there.
Yep.
So maybe you drop down to 12 pitchers, and There's some kind of decision coming up with that, but certainly the numbers on Cody are very encouraging. 4 strikeouts for Roland Smith. That ends the top of the 9th. CenturyLink, your link to what's next coming up for the Diamondbacks. Bottom of the 9th we go. Chris Owings will lead it off. Diamondbacks trail the Mets 7-3. Torres is indeed back out there. Came on with 1 out in the 7th. And he's pitched ever since, holding down the fort for this Met bullpen. They'll work to Chris Owings, A.J. Pollock in the pitcher spot, bottom of the order for Arizona. And Owings has had a good night. He's 2 for 3, a single and a double, after he was on base 4 times yesterday.
Leading off for the D-backs, shortstop Chris Owings.
So Owings leads off the 9th. He had a few base runners to get ahead of the guy on the left. Out of play. Owings. You can't spell Owings without win.
There you go. I like it.
I'm not sure about the bear outfit. That's another thing. She has the mittens and the whole thing. Looks like Jeremiah Johnson out there. Good night for Miguel Montero, as you see there. 3 hits and 3 RBIs. Quickly 0-2.
Well, they bring a lot of stuff to the ballpark with.
Gonna have to drive over in a minivan or something. That one eats up Murphy, who makes a nice play. Diving and the spinning and the whole thing.
Can't hit it much harder than that. Great approach by Chris Owings. Fit for a base hit to right field. Just a great defensive play by Murphy. Ball really came up a lot higher than it looked like it was going to, and he was able to make the adjustment with the glove. Throw from a knee. Nice play.
A.J. Pollock walked his last time up. He's 0 for 2. A.J. has hit safely in 7 of his last 9 games. Batting .290 over that span. Had 2 hits yesterday. High right at third and into left. Well, the numbers are in on Randy Wolf, the recent signee by the Diamondbacks to a minor league contract, a longtime veteran starter. He pitched for the Reno Aces and versus El Paso in Tucson. 6 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. And they think he needs 1 or 2 minor league starts before they would be ready to call him up if they so choose. Cliff Pennington will hit for the pitcher.
Now, does the Wolfpack travel wherever he goes?
Well, if he starts a game here, we're going to have to get a Wolfpack. That's, I think we have to form our own, because they were in Philly, they were in Baltimore. I mean, Randy Wolf has been everywhere. I wonder if the original Wolfpack from the Philadelphia days are still around.
Yeah, way up in the upper deck, a group of them would sit up there, a couple dozen or more.
We'll have to get on that. That's a good call.
He probably feels right at home in Reno. The University of Nevada, Reno is the Wolfpack.
Pollock running on the pitch, and once again Murphy makes a terrific play at second base to take a base hit away.
Stop it.
Daniel Murphy.
Right fielder,
Putting on a defensive clinic in this inning, not only making a nice backhanded play, the runner A.J. Pollock was going right in front of him as he was able to make that diving stop and throw on to get Pennington at first.
So Pollock is at second with 2 outs for Parra. 0 for 3. He walked and scored in the 3rd. It's a tough night, BB. The Suns lost to the Grizzlies, so they are eliminated from the NBA postseason. So, been a difficult night in the Valley. Coyotes and Suns both just missed the postseason. The wife and I were lucky enough to get out to a couple of Suns games, and boy, they were fun to watch this year. They really played hard.
Yeah, they did.
They played the right way. They were really, really fun to watch. Two and 0.
Yeah, I'm going to miss hearing Al McCoy's voice on the radio. You could always tell how the Suns were doing just by the tone of voice and the way Al would approach the radio show. One of the greatest ever.
Bounce to Davis at first, and that's the ball game. Diamondback losing streak extends to 4, and they lose the opener here to the Mets 7-3. "13 hits for New York, 9 for Arizona." We saw the major league debut of Mike Bolsinger. We'll see him again Saturday in Los Angeles. But the D-backs come up shy here after taking a 1-0 lead. The Mets answer with 1 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, and 2 in the 8th, and they win it. The 7-3. Diamondbacks live. Lots to talk about here. Let's send it out to center field. Jody Jackson.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. Jody Jackson, Joe Borowski. We're getting set for Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, our post-game show. Joe, we saw a new role for Josh Collmender tonight. We saw a new pitcher called up in Mike Bolsinger, but unfortunately, same result for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Diamondbacks can't seem to find that right mix right now, but we're going to break down both pitches and show you exactly what they bring to the table, especially for Bolsinger. He's going to get the start next time against the Dodgers.
Yeah, Bolsinger will start on Saturday. We'll take a closer look at both pitchers. We'll take a look at one player whose offensive performance tonight was very good in Miguel Montero. Stay with us. Mets celebrate. They win the first of 3 here against the D-backs, 7-3 the final.